Hello everyone, Act 4, Scene 4, Take 3. You don't know it's Take 3, trust me it is. It's not been going very well today. Humour in this scene, I'm hoping is going to be physical and visual. So bear with me if it seems a bit clunky as we go through things. So the scene starts with Emily and Curtis coming in, still handcuffed together with the chair hanging between the link. Emily has her first few lines. She doesn't know that the money has been given over to one of the Dromios, so she goes up to her door and knocks on her door. She has her first few lines and then knocked after, to warrant thee as I am rested for, pause, and then out with the excuse, my wife is in a strange mood today and will not lightly trust the messenger. And then we have a little bit of our first visual business with the chair. The pair of you are stuck there, standing there with this chair hanging between you. So what we do is, you're standing there, the chair is down, you open the chair up slowly and you try not to look at the chair, you look around, but both of you are going to try and sit down on it and grab the chair, and you both sit down together and you end up with half a bum each on the chair. So that's Emily and Curtis. Enter Dromio. And Karen comes in carrying the rope behind her back. And have you got what I sent you for? Here's what I warrant you will pay them for. And you hold the rope out. Antipholus, you are not looking at the rope. And you take the rope and hand it over to the officer. Okay, to Curtis. So not looking at the rope, you take the rope and hand it over to Curtis. Curtis then looks at it, you see the rope, do a double take at the rope, look at Dromio, but where's the money? And you carry on from there. And you come out with the line, 500 ducats villain for a rope, which point you stand up very, very quickly and pull Curtis forward so he sort of like falls forward onto his head. I've got it in mind, it'll work, trust me, it'll work. And this leads into, still going through the lines, to that answer, I will welcome you. And you have, Emily, this very specific stage instruction, beating him. At which point you will have bent Dromio across the chair and you're laying onto his backside with the rope. All right? Simples. Good start. Very, very energetic, very fast moving. Or so you thought until you got to this part. Because what happens now is Dromio comes out with his line, nay, 'tis for me to be patient, I am in adversity. At which point Curtis gets the ump. Curtis pulls a glove out of his belt, hopefully one of these gauntlet type things, motorcycle gauntlet, and hits Dromio with this. And so with the line, good now, hold thy tongue. And they rather persuade him to hold his hands, thou whoreson senseless villain. The next bit is absolute pure slapstick, and it involves the three of you. I'm going to explain it, I'll explain it slowly, but you've got to imagine that it's taking place at great speed. So what happens is this. Curtis, with his gloved hand, raises his arm, it'll be his left arm, as though he's going to hit Dromio again. He's up straight and up full stretch. When he sees this, Dromio ducks. As Dromio ducks, Antipholus, with the rope, swings round, goes over Dromio's head and hits Curtis in the stomach. At which point, Curtis bends over, Dromio stands up, Antipholus brings his hand back. That is then repeated. Curtis, Dromio, Antipholus. Curtis, Dromio, Antipholus. Curtis, Dromio, Antipholus. That happens 4 times. Dromio then comes out with the line, I would I was senseless, sir, that I might not feel your blows. Thou art sensible in nothing but blows, and so is an ass. And we do it again, another 4 times. At which point, the audience will be rolling around the grass in tucks of laughter. You will be totally, totally exhausted, and Dromio carries on with his lines about being an ass. There you go. That's the first part of that scene. Very, very, very visual and energetic. To the entrance of Adriana, Luciana, the courtesan, and Pinch. So that will be Rachel, Amy, Jess, and myself. Dromio shouts out, warning her about the mood that Antipholus is in. Antipholus hits him again as if to prove it, and so it leads into the conversation between the courtesan and Adriana. During this bit, Curtis unlocks the handcuff and Curtis sits exhausted at the table. So he's just out of it for a few moments, which means Antipholus, of course, is completely free. Pinch comes in. I'm planning on doing Pinch as a bit of a drunk, a bit of a quack, snake oil doctor, and he's described as a conjurer. And I'm going to try and use that a little bit in what I do with a few, again, visual gags. So we'll see how that goes. Give me your hand and let me feel your pulse. He says that to Antipholus. Antipholus takes exception and goes to hit Pinch. I'm going to see again if we can work out something of a little bit of a slapstick fight going on between the two of them, or at least where Pinch is fairly roundly beaten. We come down to Adriana's speech about, "Oh, husband, God doth know," you push Pinch out of the way, which leaves the acting area relatively clear. Pinch goes and sits downstage left at a table, has a little swig. Okay, and then the others of you, Dromio, Antipholus and Adriana, move over. So the order that I have you in is Pinch sitting down, Dromio standing next to Pinch, Antipholus standing between Dromio and Adriana, who is on the end of the line. Okay? That's the plan. Now we come to another very, very visual and physical bit. So it's, again, going to take a little bit of explaining. I've just seen the size of my nose in profile on this. Does my nose look big in this? When are we going to start doing Merchant of Venice? That's what I want to know. Now, the next 9 or so speeches have got to be really, really quick. And it's the direction of where you're looking that is important. Okay? So we start off with Antipholus, "Dined at home, thou villain, what sayest thou?" All right, you say that to Dromio. Dromio speaks his lines to Pinch, and whilst Dromio is speaking, Antipholus, you're looking at Adriana. So Antipholus speaks to Dromio, Dromio speaks to Pinch. Whilst he's doing that, Antipholus looks at Adriana. So that goes through until we get to Antipholus's line, which says, "And did I not in rage depart from the hence? In verity you did, my bones bear witness that since have felt the vigour of his rage." And at that point, Antipholus, you look at Adriana and you go out with, "Ha!" As though that has proven my point. Okay. We then move into what is basically a row between Antipholus and Adriana. He's trying to tell her what she's done. She's saying, "No, I didn't, no, I didn't, no, I didn't," because, of course, she spent the afternoon with the other Antipholus. We won't say any more than that. And he has since been locked up. Luciana chips in, trying to back up the sister, and so on. Pinch then comes out with, "Mistress, both man and master is possessed." Big reaction from the girls. This thing about possession and witchcraft plays a big part in the comedy right the way through. And so it goes on until we get down a little bit further and we have Antipholus coming out with, "Dissembling harlot, thou art false in all, and art confederate with a damned pack to make a loathsome abject scorn of me. But with these nails I'll pluck out these false eyes that would behold in me this shameful sport." At which point, Antipholus, you lunge for Adriana. Adriana runs away, starts to run around the circumference of the stage, Antipholus chasing her. Gradually, everybody joins in. So we have Dromio joining in and chasing, Luciana joining in and chasing, the officer joining in and chasing. There is absolute chaos. You're shouting your line, Adriana, as you're running, "Oh, bind him, let him not come near me." Pinch brings the whole thing to a stop by firing a pistol in the air. If we can find a starting pistol from somewhere, that would be great. So it comes as complete surprise to everyone. Bang! Everything stops. And people, all the kids and everybody, grab hold of Antipholus. At which point, Curtis comes in, swinging the rope about that he picked up from earlier, and gets in front of Antipholus with his line, "Master, let him go. He's my prisoner and you shall not have him." And he explains it. Pinch's line, "Go bind this man for he is frantic too," is moved. So it goes from officer, "Masters, let him go, he is my prisoner, and you shall not have him," to Adriana, "What wilt thou do, thou peevish officer?" And that line comes down to Antipholus coming out with, "O most unhappy strumpet." Pinch line comes in then, "Go bind this man, for he is frantic too." At which point the kids come round and tie up Antipholus and Dromio with some tablecloths, some big check tablecloths. Okay, that's the plan up to that bit. Antipholus comes out with, "Out on thee, villain, wherefore dost thou mad me? Will you be bound for nothing? Be mad, good master, cry the devil!" You encourage them, Dromio encourage Antipholus to join in, shouts, lots of shouts of the devil, tongue pulling, funny noises, and so on. Okay, Adriana comes out with the line, "O bear him hence," at which point Pinch takes you through the door back into the house. Okay, and that leaves Adriana there for her conversation with the officer. Now that conversation goes ahead fairly straightforward. Then Jess comes in and joins in the conversation. At which point, Adriana and Luciana, you just don't know how to deal with Jess. Yeah, she is frightening, she's scary, she's unusual. You've been told that she's an evil woman, but she's coming across as lovely. So you just don't know how to deal with her. And perhaps sort of half ignore her. And then the three of you, 1, 2, 3, 4 of you, exit. You start to go out, and you go out on a loop. You walk across the front and then turn to go to exit up left. Whilst you're doing that, Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse enter top left, and as they come down. Now, they don't see you. You go across, and Adriana, you catch a glimpse of them as you start to exit, and then you scream, which causes the courtesan and Luciana to scream, which causes Antipholus and Dromio to scream, and everybody scream! It's a bit of a screaming fest. Dromio and Antipholus run across and grab a couple of play swords that we'll have decked out in one of the stands or one of the shoppy areas that we hope that the kids have been creating. And you point your swords at them. And making play of the fact that you're not very familiar with swords and how to use them. Curtis then steps forward, puts himself between the swords and the ladies, walks up to the swords, being quite swaggering, gets up close, looks at the swords, turns back to the ladies, still swaggering, and then absolute terror, "They'll kill us!" And then the four of you, leg it out as quick as you can, leaving Dromio and Antipholus of Syracuse there to do it all on their own. The last little bit. And what they do is they talk about the witches again, and they talk about the swords and so on. They stick their swords down their trousers. No gags about what things might be cut off, because that's altogether too obvious. They stick their swords down the trousers, but of course that means that they can't bend one of their knees because they've got the sword down the trouser leg. And they both walk out with very, very stiff right legs, swinging them as though they've got a peg leg. All right, so that's the scene. Masses going on, very, very physical. The lines are almost incidental at this point to what's going on. It's huge, and hopefully we'll be able to get through it reading-wise anyway on Thursday evening. Thoughts I have beforehand, I'll send out, and we can go from there. So I've got to go and sort out this cad Condom Fits Loosely, who's basically not been playing cricket. Remember, a dog isn't just for Christmas. unless you live in Korea.